This is going to be a tutorial on how to cut an A-line dress with a Basque waistline. Let me show you a picture of what I want to cut. This tutorial will be centered mainly on the lower parts, that's like the A-line parts of the dress. This is, I hope this is clear. Yeah, so in this tutorial, we are going to be cutting a dress that has, I hope it's clear. We're cutting this kind of down of a dress, like A line with Basque waistline, and I'll be using this fabric. I'm using this brocade fabric, and I'll be lining it with this cotton lining. I'm not going to be cutting the upper part of this dress. I need to be sure this mic is working because this mic has showed me a lot. So I will not be cutting the upper part of this dress in this life, but I'll be cutting the lower part of it and I'll be cutting the lining as well. Now, before you can successfully cut the lower part, like a dress that has a lower part of a dress like that, you must be aware of measurements. Like since the dress is coming from the waistline, you will need the waistline measurements. Then you will need the hip, but in between the waistline and the hip, I always consider something I call first hip. Is basically the skirt waist. I don't just consider skirt waist when I'm cutting a skirt. I also consider skirt waist when I'm cutting any fitted outfit, be it a gown, be it a jumpsuit, even high waist trouser. As long as it's fitted, I consider skirt waist. So you'll be needing measurement like the person's full length, definitely, and you must also have the knowledge of the half length, considering that you are cutting a dress. So the full length, the half length, but for this part of the dress, you don't really need to measure the half length on this part of the dress, but you are going to have it at the back of your mind. Then you also be needing the hip and maybe the knee length. You don't really have to measure knee length on your client or whoever you are sewing for. You can just determine knee length depending on the person's full length. Now, in the case of this person, and unlike the picture I showed you, in the case of this one I'm cutting, the back will be longer than the front of the dress. You remember that for the picture I showed you earlier, the front and back are the same length, but in this case, the back will be a bit longer than the front. So the person's full length, proper full length is 62 for a dress like this, and then the back of this dress is going to be 60. The back of this dress will be 66. Yeah, so let's get started. This life will be as detailed as possible, and this is like my first and this is like my first life that I'll be showing my face like this. I've been doing some silent live stream. I hope you people have been watching it. You need to watch you. If you need styles and ideas, you need to be watching my silent live streams. But this is like my first live that I'll be doing like this. I'll be doing live and showing my face. Look at this beautiful fabric. The right side is as beautiful. The wrong side is as beautiful as the right side. I need to be checking this mic off on. And please, I have a baby that I might need to go inside to attend to once in a while. But for now, let's continue. I'm almost tempted to use the wrong side of this fabric. Look at the wrong side, and this is the right side, but I'll still be sticking to the right side. Now, what I'll be doing is I'll be considering the highest measurement between this person's hip, the waist, and the first hip I spoke about, which is the skirt waist. Then, whichever is higher, in most cases, is the person's hip, oh, but you can see few cases where it will be the person's waist or maybe the skirt waist. Like I used to say in my videos, it can either be the waist, the skirt waist or the hip, but it is majorly the hip for most female. But in a case of probably a pregnant person or people with big tummy than hip, then it can be their first hip. But in the case of this person, it is her hip. Her hip is 44. So depending on how full I want the A-line parts of this dress to be, you're going to be multiplying that highest measurement times at least two. You can do two, you can do two and a half, you can do three, you can even do four. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor Haka. Oh, Mr. Mayor Haka is from India. Thanks for joining us from India. So I'm going to be doing the 44, which is our E, times two because I don't want it too full. If you want your A line to be very, very full, please do times three. You can even do times four. It depends on what you are cutting. And hope you know that there are several styles to cut a line like this. You can do the slash and spread method. You can do pattern drafting before transferring to the actual fabric. But in this life, I'm going to be measuring directly on my fabric, and I'm not using the slash and spread method. I'm using our hip, which is the highest measurement between our waist, our first hip and our second hip. I'll be doing that hip times two. So I'll be measuring 88 because our hip is 44. So that 88, I'll fold it into four. And hope you know that it is best to do all your markings on the wrong side of your fabric. So 88 is what we are measuring now. Please don't forget to subscribe. You can drop your comments in the comment section. Let me know where you are watching this live from. And if you are enjoying this live stream, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. So this is 88. I'll fold this 88 into four. I'm supposed to leave zip allowance of just 1.5 inch or at most 2 inches at the mommy. Or at most two, sorry, I that's my baby. Or at most 2 inches at the back. But because the back of this dress will be longer than the front, I will be making it 8 inches. I'll be leaving 8 inches at the back. This 8 inches is not a constant. It's not constant. It depends on how full you want it to be. And this is a function of how much fabric you have folded. You know, in my case, I folded just the hip times two. That's why I'm leaving 8 inches. If you have enough fabric, probably you did the or probably you are doing the hip times three or four, you can leave 20, you can leave 25 at the back. So this is where the 88 stops. I'll be folding the 88 into four. And always be mindful of the pattern on your fabric when you are cutting. Check if you are working with a fabric that has up and down so that face you don't face it wrongly. In my case, I think this is the upper part of this fabric. This is there's no up and down, but I will prefer to use this part as the up. I'm still checking for the up and down so that okay, so this since this is going to be the down, I'll turn it this way because I want everybody to see what I'm doing. I'll be turning it this way, and this is the up and this is the down. So what I have here, At this back, around this deep allowance is supposed to be 8. And when I say 8, you know that it is on fold of 2 now. So I'm supposed to mark 4. So this is where I will stop my fold. After this, the next thing to consider, please, I need to attend to my baby. I'm coming. Mo fídíò tí mo ṣe mí lè fẹ́ láìfù ni like bí mo ṣe ń ṣe náà wù ú. Mo fẹ́ràn kí ẹ bá ń fún oúnjẹ fún bí ebi ń pa. Mi ì lè pẹ́ ju mo kíní yẹn wà on. Ẹ ṣe wọ́n kàn. Please guys, I will be back. Please. Bí mo ṣe tì wọ́n sìn gbogbo èèyàn ló máa rí. Kámẹ́rà yẹn wà on láìfù ni. Ó bá ń kó oúnjẹ fún. Now you're laughing. Now you're laughing different. And your way síta. Tẹ́ bá ti pò tán ẹ ṣáà pè mí, ẹ má bọ́ta o. Tẹ́ bá ti pò tán ẹ pè mí. Tẹ́ bá bọ́ta á máa rí yín o. So what I'll do next is to figure out the length. The person's length, like I said, is 66. Join. Okay, so the full length is 66, and then this person's half length, not the Basque length, oh, the half length. Oh my god, I have to make this live. I have to make this live. Please, I have to make this live. So whenever this live meets you, just bear with me. I have a baby on my back. I have an 8 months old baby on my back. So half length is 18. So I'll be deducting 18 from I'll be deducting I'll be deducting 18 from the 66. You can either do your normal 66 minus 18 and then measure whatever is left on this fabric, or you can just place the 18 like I love to place whatever the half length is like this. So I'll be placing the 18 like this and I'll measure 66. So this is 66. Then I'll be adding 2 inches allowance to the length. Okay, let me use um okay, I'll be adding 2 inches, 2 inches allowance. So in total, I'm measuring 68. I can now cut this out. I can now cut this out from the whole of my fabric. I've been wanting to do this kind of life a very long time ago, but several factors have been delaying me, and one of them is how I'll back my baby and be doing and be on life. But I'm not going to allow that delay me any longer. Something I really want to do. So the next is to start transferring this person's measurements. Please let your cutting be smooth though. Cutting like this. You can still I can still adjust it when I'm sewing, but if you're not used to that method, let your cutting be smooth. Everything should be smooth. So the next is we're dividing our waistline. Our waist is 32. We're dividing 32 by 4, starting my one from here because this is center front and this is center back, which is the zip side. This is the shaping side, the side where you shape when you are sewing. So our waist is 32 divided by 4 because this fabric is on fold of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Divided by 4. Oh God. Divided by 4 is 8. We're marking 8, and then I'll be adding 1.5 inch allowance, sewing allowance. Now, the distance between the waist and the first hip for a tall person is 4, and tall person full length of like 58 to 60, 62, 64 is 4. But for a short person, like an adult that is not tall, some adults have full length of 54, 56, 57. For them, you can use 3. But for a tall person, I'm using 4. That's the distance between the waist and the first hip I mentioned. The first hip is majorly the skirt waist. So on this 4 is where I'll measure our first hip, which in the case of this person is 37. 37 divided by 4 gives me 9.25. 9.25. I have to be checking this mic every now and then. Then I'm adding 1.5 inch sewing allowance like this. So what I'll do next is to measure another 4. The other 4, you can either use 4 or 5, but I'll just use 4. Is the distance between the skirt waist and the actual hip. So if you are coming from the waistline, this waistline, you just have to measure 9 directly and measure the hip, or you measure 8 and measure the hip. But if you want to break it down like this, you measure 4 first, you measure the first hip, then you measure 5 or 4, and then you measure the actual hip, which is the normal proper hip. So I'm going to be using 8, which is 4 4 on this 8, or on this 4 if you are measuring from here, is where I'll be measuring a hip. A hip is 44 divided by 4 gives me 11. Then I'll be adding 1.5 inch allowance. The next after this is to determine the you have to determine the nail length, because the nail length is where the A line will start from. So since this piece is coming from, since it's not a skirt, it's a gown that is coming from the waistline, I'll be measuring the waist to the first hip first, which is the 4 I measured earlier. So from this first hip, since our full length is 62, that means she's a tall person. I'll be using nail length of like 17 or 18. I'll be using 17. So I'll mark 17 from here. from the first hip 17. If you are coming directly from the waistline, from this waistline here, I'll be using nail length of 21. But if I'm coming from the first hip, which is the skirt waist, somewhere around here, I'll be using 18. So coming from this waistline now, 21 in total, this is the nail length. On this nail length is where I will now measure depending on how fitted you want the leg side, like the nail side to be. In our case, since our hip is 44 and she doesn't want it too fitted that she won't be able to take bike or stuff like that, I'll be using 40. So I'll be deducting just 4 inches from our hip. So what I'll be measuring here is the left 40 when I deduct 4 inches from my hip. So that 40, I will divide it by 4, which is 10. Then I'll be adding 1.5 inch. Any new comment? Oh, hi, Mide Amos. Hi, thanks for joining. Mide Amos, where are you watching from? So 1.5. I just hope all these my markings are clear. The next I will do is to connect this point together. The waist to the first hip, to the actual hip, and down to the nail length like this. The waist to the first hip, to the actual hip, and down to the nail length. I was supposed to bring a ruler so that I can rule this house. Let me get a ruler, please. I'll be back. Mami àti ìṣetán. Ah, mo ò fẹ́ máa gbé kalẹ̀ ń sìn. Okay, so from here, I'll rule it out using the whole of the fabric I have here. You see why I said that depending on how full you want it to be. If you had measured the hip times 3, the quantity of fabric you folded, it would have been wider than this. But because I don't want this too wide, I did just this, which is the hip times 2. So from here, I'm just going to rule it out like this, like this. That's it for this side. Now coming back to, oh my gosh. Yeah, so it's saving me the stress of editing. Oh. So around this zip side, up to the new length, which I said I used new length of 21 here, but I'll be deducting 2 inches. I'll be using new length of 19 here, straight from the waistline. So I'll be marking 19 from here, measuring 19. I'll mark it. I'll use zip allowance of 1.5 inch around here, 1.5 inch, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. You can measure all through if you want, but that is it. You now see this 1.5 inch. The major place I need it is around the butt region. So here I will reduce it with 1/2 inch. I'll be using 1, and here as well I'll be using 1. So 1, connect it to this 1.5 inch line, and I'll connect it at this new length as well. Then the next I will do is from this 1 inch, I'm just going to mark this straight out. Not straight, like I'll mark it out like this with the help of my ruler. It's that simple. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, drop your comments, and subscribe if you've not subscribed. Now we can cut it out. So let's cut this out. I want to start my cutting from here. And here as well. After cutting it out, we are not done, no. So don't rush out. There's still a lot to do on this piece. So you can see that this portion, that's the butt region, is wider than here and this nail side. So, and around here as well, this is what we have. This is what we have. So for the length I spoke about, I said our front length to be 62, but remember that I added 2 inches allowance, and then our back length to be 66. Remember I added 2 inches allowance as well. So what I will do now is to bring back my paper, measure out the half length, which is 18. Please, I'm checking this mic every now and then because I don't want it to go off. Because once it goes off and I'm not aware and I did not remove the other part of it under my phone, I'll just be talking, nobody will hear me. So that is what I'm trying to avoid. That's why I'm checking this mic severally so that once it goes off, I can remove the other part of it from under my phone. I don't know if what I'm trying to say is understood. So I'm measuring the 18 now, and then I'll be marking for the front now. 64. 64, the 2 inches allowance inclusive. So this is the 64. This is the 64. Let me bring it close to the camera. Is it close enough? Is it close enough? Yeah, so this is the 64, and this is the 64 here. So from here, I'll be cropping this to meet this place. This is center front, this is side front. Please don't mix it up. Oh. Don't crop it from side to center. Start from center front and then you crop it to the side. So just going to mark it like this. You can use your curved ruler for this, but I'll be using freehand here. Then you cut it out. You cut the front out. So this is what I have for the front now. This is what the front will look like. Yeah, so this is what it will look like. Then the other side as well. This is the other side. Yeah. So this part will not be like this when you are folding. I'll be folding the lower part of this dress with um crinoline, crinoline, so that it will just stand like that on its own. And when I'm doing that, I'll try to make life as well, so that everybody can understand and see the finished result of this dress. But this is what it is majorly. This is what you can see, how white is lapping on each other. So this will be like the extension at the back. And look at the shape. This is what the shape of this person is looking like. If you want this nail length slimmer than this, you remember that I deducted 4 inches from her hip. You can deduct 6. You can even deduct 8 from the hip. It depends on the comfort, the level of comfort you want here. Just know that the more your deduction, the slimmer this place is, the tighter it gets. So it depends on how fitted you want this nail length to be. So if I was to deduct like 6 inches now, that means from here it will still go inward with 1 inch. You can see that it will be more shapy, but for the sake of comfort, it will not be that comfortable. Now, for this, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It's perfect. In fact, it's the best, but it depends on who you are sewing for. You should always consider who you are sewing for whenever you are sewing. This person doesn't want it too tight. If she wanted it very, very tight, I would have deducted 8 inches or 6 inches, but the 4 inches I deducted from her hip is just perfect for me. Now, for this basque waistline, I can't basque this if the half length, the upper part of this dress is not ready. Because it's the upper part of this dress that I'll place on this after basking the upper part of the dress. I'll place on it to create the basque around here. So till then, I cannot basque this. So for now, this is where this particular tutorial will stop. But when I'm cutting the upper part of this dress, I'll try as much as possible to come live as well. If I don't come live, I can just record it and upload as a proper video. However it is, if you watch this live, you would understand the upper part of this dress when you see it. So that is it for the cutting of this A-line, cutting of the lower part of this A-line dress. I hope that you found this life interesting. You can just let me know in the comments if you want me to do more live, if you would prefer live than proper video. Definitely, there's no how I won't be mixing it, but just let me know the one you enjoy the most. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.